Hello, everybody. Mr. D here. We are now ready for Unit 5, Lesson 1. And all of this information you can find in your Grammar Explorer textbook, pages 122 to 129. Let's begin. In this lesson, I want to learn and practice with you the present perfect. Okay, specifically, we'll look at statements, questions and answers, and using adverbs with the present perfect. So let's begin with statements. I want to start with the form. How do we make the present perfect? This is the rule. So you need a subject, always in English. Then you use the verb have or has. This is our helper verb for the present perfect. So subject plus have or has, and then the past participle of the main verb. For example, my brother worked late yesterday. Simple past, right? Our main verb is work. Add ed to make past tense, worked. Here is the present perfect. My brother has worked late a lot recently. So as you can see, we have our subject in yellow. In green, we have has because he, she, it. And worked is the past participle form of the main verb. If you don't remember, the past participle for regular verbs is the same as the simple past form. So I played, I have played. So on the left, you have simple present. On the right, you have present perfect. She walked, she has walked. We painted, we have painted. Sorry. So as you can see, the past participle is the same as the simple past form, okay, for regular verbs. Now, shouldn't surprise you. It should not surprise you, but there are many irregular past participles, okay? And if you want a complete list, you should look at page A4 in the back of your Grammar Explorer textbook. But here I'll give you a few examples so you can see how irregular past participles are different. So again, on the left, you have simple past. On the right, you have present perfect. So I did, past simple. But I have done. So the past participle of do is done. So do, did, done. Maybe you'll remember learning verbs this way. She got, she has gotten. Okay? We went, we have gone. You had, you have had. All right? So here are some irregulars, okay? And again, I encourage you to look at page A4 to learn more irregulars. So we know how to make the present perfect. When do we use the present perfect? We use it for a recently completed action. For example, I have finished my homework. So maybe 2 minutes ago, boom, 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 I was writing, done. Okay, I have finished my homework. So this is a past action, but it's the recent past. So we often use the present perfect if it's recently finished, okay? I have just eaten breakfast, for example. Or the plan, sorry, it should say plane, Plane. The plane has just arrived, so it just landed. So those were recent completed actions. We also use it when a time period is not complete, so an incomplete action. So here, John hasn't called today, but it's still today, so he might call later. So because today is not finished, we use the present perfect. He hasn't called today. I have drunk 2 cups of coffee this morning, and it's still the morning. So we don't say I drank because the morning hasn't finished yet. We're still in the morning. So I say I have drunk 2 cups of coffee. And she hasn't worked at all this week. Now, it's still this week, so we don't use the simple past, we use the present perfect. So we also use it for an action or event that happened one time or more times at an indefinite time in the past. So not specific. Indefinite time means not specific time. So I can say, I read that book last month. Past simple, right? When did I read the book? Last month. We know when. Compare that to, I have read that book. This is the past, but we don't say when. So we use the present perfect. We're talking in general about the past. Oh, I have read that book. Okay. Another example, she traveled to Hawaii last year. So because we say last year, we use past simple because the time is specific. But if we're talking in general, we can say she has traveled to Hawaii. So at one time in her life, she traveled to Hawaii, but we don't say when. Another time, we use the present perfect. So when the time of the past action or event is not known or important, but the result of or the experience from the action or event is. So again, we don't know when or when isn't important. I have washed the dishes. It's not important when, for example. So I say I have washed the dishes. She has lived in Mexico City. Again, maybe we don't know when or we don't say when. So we just say she has lived in Mexico City. Okay, so that was the present perfect statements. Let's look at questions. So, sorry. Yes, no questions. As you can see, the same elements, the same parts. We have subject, we have, has, and past participle, but the order changes. So for a question, the helping verb, have or has, comes first. Have, has, plus subject, plus past participle. Have you finished your homework, for example? So we have, and then subject you, and past participle finished. And the answer would be, yes, I have, or no, I haven't. Has she had any coffee today? Yes, she has, or no, she hasn't. Okay, so for yes, no questions, you put the helper verb first. What about WH questions? So as you can see, the WH word always comes first, right? Who, what, when, where, why. That's the first word. Then it's the same as yes, no questions. You use WH word plus have, has, plus subject, plus past participle. And it looks like this. What have they found? A cell phone, for example. Where has she gone? To the library. Okay, so again, WH word is always first, and then you have helper verb plus subject plus past participle. Remember, sometimes who or what can be the subject. So if who or what is the subject, we don't need two subjects. So there's WH word plus has plus past participle. For example, who has been to Italy? I have, or she has. What has happened this week? A lot of things. So the who and the what are the subject. So we don't need to add another subject. Okay. All right. Let's finish with adverbs and the present perfect. So already is an adverb, and already means sometime before now. And you should put already before the past participle or at the end of the sentence. So we've already seen that movie. Okay, in this case, already is before the past participle. But you can also say we've seen that movie already. Okay, so we're using the present perfect with already to mean that we saw the movie sometime before now. Okay, so already means the action is finished sometime before now. Have you already seen that movie? Okay, so there you have it in a question. Have you already seen that movie? Next, ever. Ever means at any time before now. Okay, and it's usually used in questions. So, have you ever read that book? Okay, so have you ever tried McDonald's? Have you ever been to Sacramento? Okay, so we use this for questions about the past. Never. Never means at no time before now. So it's related to ever. Ever means at any time before now, but never means at no time. And both of them, ever and never, usually go before the past participle. So, for example, I've never been to London. Okay. And again, this means at no time in the past. At no time in the past did I go to London. Next, we have recently and lately. So, recently and lately mean not very long ago or in the recent past. And recently, you should put before the past participle or at the end. So, I've read a lot of books recently, or I've recently read a lot of books. Lately usually comes at the end of a sentence or question. So, have you seen any good movies lately? So, it's the same as recently. Have you seen any good movies recently? I haven't visited my grandparents lately. Okay, so it's the same meaning as recently, but lately we prefer to put at the end. Just. So just means right before now. So here's now, just, very close to the present. And we use just for recently completed actions. And you should put just before the past participle or between the helper verb and the past participle. That's where you put just. The plane has just landed. We've just finished dinner. Okay, so this is the action just happened. Okay. And still. So we use still in negative statements to mean up to now. And you put still before haven't or hasn't. So before the helper verb. She still hasn't called me. So the same as saying not yet. Okay, she's going to, but she still hasn't called me. We still haven't found the answer. Okay. And yet. Yet means until now. Yet is often used in negative statements and questions, and you should put yet at the end. Okay, so just like lately, put yet at the end of the sentence. He hasn't finished his homework yet. Have you cleaned the kitchen yet? Okay, so the first one is a negative statement. The second one is a question. We put yet at the end to mean that these actions haven't happened. Okay, so he hasn't finished his homework yet, but he will. Have you cleaned the kitchen yet? I want to know, did you do it or did you not? Okay, that is the end of this lesson. I know it was a lot, okay? A lot of new information probably, okay? But the practice in your textbook will definitely help. And if you have any questions, remember, you can message me, okay? Thank you all.